I remember this story when my mom and I visited this one uncle when I was very young in Mumbai. He was smoking inside his own office and I could see the sea along with other really tall buildings below me. I have no idea why we visited him or what his name is, but I do remember him picking up his landline telephone and in the middle of the conversation casually saying, "हाँ वो 25 crore transfer हो गए ना," for his real estate project. That has stuck with me as a core childhood memory because I never knew so much money existed that one casual afternoon some random dude in Nariman Point can just move 25 crore like it's nothing. And in January of 2025, while I'm still nowhere close to that uncle, I made over $83,000 across my two businesses. I feel like I've chased this number for the past 4 years, or as far back as I can remember, relentlessly. This number is really significant because $83,000 of revenue in a month extrapolates to $1 million of revenue in a year. But I also spent over $40,000 last month and I felt a bit of deja vu. I might have become that uncle for many younger people in our generation, albeit at a smaller scale for now. What shocks me most was that there was no magical moment. It just becomes numbers after a certain point and you keep spending more money on bets that you think will make you even more money. But you know what did feel good? I was able to make a very valuable teammate of ours drop out from his college in Bangalore to go full-time at our agency. I'm also able to choose many locations in the world where I want to take a couple of my talented friends to create environments of accelerated progress. And that's what makes all of the sacrifice for me so worth it. The reward of the journey is to be able to continue the journey for me. I don't think I have any materialistic desires, and the ones that I do have cost millions of dollars, so I can only afford them if and when I sell my agency. But I want to go on a quick side tangent. I vividly remember the month where I hit my first $10,000. I've never felt that same happiness hitting even larger numbers. So take your time and thank yourself for the fact that you're already successful. If you're watching this, you have a roof, food, an internet connection, and probably even a laptop. Your life is already 70% as good as it can ever get. So take a moment to really internalize and appreciate that. Anyway, I guess this has been a long intro to how I feel. Now let me tell you how I was able to accomplish this number in January. It all goes back to the pandemic days. I was one of the first few to catch the virus, and subsequently I was hospitalized because everyone was scared and panicking. I was also 100 kilos at that time and my body was still craving KFC in that hospital bed. And that was the turning point for me. I had to change. I stopped eating food for a few months and I started cycling and going to the gym. My family's financial situation worsened, so I tried dropshipping. But I couldn't stick to it because I had shiny object syndrome, so I quit before I found any success. Luckily, the one thing I never quit was theme pages. I dominated the fitness theme page industry on Instagram and even sold a few of those pages for $2,000 each. I created my own fitness page in hopes for a Muscle Blaze sponsorship to be able to provide for my family, and I remember doing that for over a year. Until one day, this guy named Iman Ghazi put up hiring stories for short-form content experts before short-form content became as prominent as it is today. I applied, I didn't get in. I applied again, nothing. Third time, I got in as a social media manager and got exposed to making real money for the first time. Soon, because of the fact that I was following myself from some of these pages, I started getting inbound DMs of infopreneurs and other coaches who also wanted short form content. Once I started making more from outside the job, I quit and went all in on my short form content agency. At this point, I met Arthur online. He had an agency with 2 to 3 clients, and so did I, both doing short form content. The difference was that Arthur also had a tech company to run. So we merged agencies and soon got to $20,000 a month. But we simply couldn't break that MRR mark. We seemed to gain one client and lose another. We had 2 major choices ahead of us that would determine the fate of Atomik Growth. We knew we had to offer services end to end so that we can go from charging our clients $3,000 to $5,000 or $6,000. The 2 options were, number 1, end-to-end short-form content strategy, the same way that we implemented it for Iman, but for other busy founders. And option 2, one of our existing clients was a very well-known podcast in the venture capital space. So why don't we use this expertise to convince other venture capital funds that we'll handle their podcasts end to end with a focus on distribution. I changed our website from one that was built with stock images in a day, no idea how that got us to $20,000 a month, to what it is now with clear branding and messaging targeting venture capital firms. Our next client that we got from our mass cold email campaigns through Instantly was key. He wanted someone to handle the entire podcast, was a VC fund, but most importantly, he was a fan of our star short form content client. We closed him for $5,400 a month, but we were still stuck at that $20,000 a month mark because of churn for like 7 months. Then all of a sudden, while I was doing a founder house in Pune, we had 2 to 3 referrals come in from existing clients, the ones that we were servicing at the 20K a month mark. And in a month, we doubled to 40K MRR. That is when I was able to take care of my family without worrying too much and travel. At the $40,000 a month mark, one of my most fun experiences was traveling with Arthur to New York and San Francisco and LA and meeting a bunch of our clients, because what I was doing was all remote, but meeting my clients in person was really real. Next founder house, where I am currently in Argentina, we've had solid hyper-targeted emails to VC funds, and we're at 50K a month in January. So where did the other $33,000 come from? Well, 2 years ago, I put up a YouTube video titled The Indian Education System. For me, school isn't exactly a place for fun because I have big goals and I really need to do stuff. But for a lot of other students, school is more of a fun place and they don't really have such ambitions yet. For them, sure, school might not seem like a waste of time and it's very essential for their day. But for me, we dread school because of how it is right now. And the teachers, they seem to see this in such a negative light that I don't even know. Make it more online because that reduces travel time and a lot of friction between going to school and the inefficiencies that lie in that. I think that online education can really be the future. And I even did a podcast. The interesting thing about this was that the hosts asked me,
where do you see yourself in 10, 20 years?
So the way it is now, I hope to have a lot of businesses. I want to do everything. YouTube is definitely going to be on my to-do list, and I'm going to treat it like a task. I know that 1 year from now, I'll be at 100K. Easily. And it's just a matter of time and execution. There's no contest. There's nobody competing against me in India. And here I am, 2.5 years later, still not at the 100K subscriber mark. But now I'm sure that I'll get to 1 million, no problem. I hated school and I wanted to create an alternative for others in my shoes. So using the personal brand I created, I launched the Indian Institute of Remote Work. I really couldn't have done it without setting the launch date of 25th January because work always expands to fill in the remaining time. Now, I've never spoken live before and I still have massive stage fright. And even today, I have no idea how I delivered a live event in front of 800 people that day. But I don't think that anyone else could tell that I was nervous because by the end of the week, we had several hundred applicants and I had to reject many of them to get the final 120 for the founding cohort. Now I know how much criticism info products tend to get because if your agency is doing well, why would you launch another business? Well, it's because some people enjoy playing more than one sport, and while I'm going to do both, I'm also going to make a lot of money out of it. The vision for IRW over the next 5 years is big. An accredited institution with physical spaces in India. Anyway, I'm just a 20-year-old kid who moved $83,000 this January. And it all started for me by wanting KFC in that hospital bed. Who knows how it's going to start for you?